Survivor Series. Survivor Series. Survivor Series. I see a lot of people have a lot of problems with the Goldberg and Lesnar match, but I'll get to the end of that. Kind of got tired of this thing getting away also during a live reaction, but we'll address that in a second. But how can we go start off? Survivor Series 2016. Before I even get started with this review, I'll put it clear right here. NXT Toronto the night before was way better than this. Was there pre-shows? Yes. Kane versus Harper, it was whatever Kane won. Another six-man spot fest with the cruiserweights between Noam Dar, TJ Perkins, and Swan versus Daivari, Nice, and Gulak. I'm tired of these six-man whatever cruiserweight matches. I feel like it's every week now and it never stops. I don't really care, to be honest. I just know Perkins and them won, but it's whatever. But let's start off with the first part of the show tonight. Team Raw versus Team SmackDown. The women's, Charlotte, which was leading the group to go against Sasha Banks, Bayley, Alicia Fox, and Nia Jax, versus Team SmackDown, since Nikki Bella was jumped backstage by somebody. You know, whoever jumped Nikki Bella, which I still thought, man, really, to be honest, like, why was Nikki Bella even the leader in the beginning with this whole Survivor Series women's team if all the champions are supposed to be the leader? If all you see the other teams, they got champions leading their team, why doesn't SmackDown have a champion? So Natalya took her place. And it's the Team SmackDown, which now consists of Natalya, Becky Lynch, Naomi, Alexa Bliss, Carmella, and Carmella. That was the team. We pretty much had the match out there, and how can I say from this match? It was more bad than good in this pay-per-view. Was it an okay match? Yes, it was. But here was one of the biggest two things to nitpick out of this. Did Nia Jax look strong in the show? Yes, she did mow through everybody, and she did a double, and kind of, did a double suplex, taking out Bayley and Charlotte, or Sasha, I believe. But, no, not Bayley and Sasha, taking out Becky Lynch and Alexa Bliss. But this is where it doesn't make sense for Nia Jax. Nia Jax supposed to be made look like a monster, but as soon as she went into a submission move by Becky Lynch, she immediately tapped. If she's supposed to look like a giant beast monster, why would you have her get beat that quick? I can see they could have did more to protect her, but it looked like she just got immediately beaten. Like, just immediately. And, they tried to make SmackDown look bad tonight, really. They tried to make just SmackDown look really bad tonight, but with the Raw women's team going against the SmackDown team, it's like a lot of these people were not over. I know Alicia Fox was not over. Sasha Banks was really early out of this match for some reason. And the sole survivors were pretty much Charlotte and Bayley, which Bayley actually beat Becky Lynch clean. And it kind of made the SmackDown champion look like crap in a way. They didn't do no favors to SmackDown, and it's like Bayley won, and all they really had, I guess the reason why both her and Charlotte was out there last, just to, push their feud right now with them going for the women's championship. So they're just doing that, but they did make the SmackDown women's team kind of look bad out there. It's like the match was kind of almost like a cluster, really. It's like everything was kind of all over the place. Did it have a little of its moments? Yes, but it looked like you could call more bad than good from this. James Ellsworth was in the back as Gallows and Anderson pretty much called him the nerd. Said, "We see what you've been doing to our old friend AJ Styles out there tonight," and told him to knock it off. Until Mick Foley had to come stop them. And Foley talked about, you remember when he was tossed off the cell by The Undertaker and stuff, and Foley, he said take it through him and everything, or tossing off, which, means different things in other countries, but Ellsworth pretty much praised Foley and everything, and Foley told him good luck. But Ellsworth ran into Braun Strowman and pretty much, since he was the first man Strowman beat, and Strowman pretty much said, "I know you," and then Ellsworth got out of dodge. Miz went against Sami Zayn. Oh my god, the Intercontinental title match. Yes, and we had multiple different versions of the commentary team as they kept switching all night. But for Miz and Sami Zayn and the IC title, I don't think the IC title was ever moved into Raw, which could have went well, but come on, if Miz won the title from Ziggler the other day, which I still think Ziggler versus Zayn could have happened, would have probably been a match to year candidate, would have been a really great match. It's just kind of like it looked like they just went with Zayn versus Miz just because, and it would look stupid if Miz took the title and kind of, you know, lost the title really in under 3 to 5 days, and it just would have made no sense just to lose it just so it can go to Raw. Was this a good match? Yes, it was a good match until the finish. They had to do the Montreal Screwjob type of thing. Pretty much Maurice hit the bell, the ref got distracted, Miz hit a roll-up pin, and pretty much, you know, regained the title, which I guess it was a good, maybe clever finish, you know, just for Miz to get heel heat, but it just looked really stupid with the booking they were going with this. Come on, a Montreal Screwjob just because Sami Zayn is from Canada, and you're just gonna mess with him like that. Like that made no sense. But Raw didn't need any more titles. Raw has a U.S. title. What would have made sense if they had the IC title also? It just didn't really do them any favors out this match. It could have been a better match, but it just, once the finish came, that ruined it all. Enzo and Cass came out, pretty much playing to the Canadian crowd, and talked a lot about Drake, since Enzo was wearing Drake clothes or gear. If you're reading this, it's just too late. But pretty much Team Raw versus Team SmackDown tag team version, pretty much Enzo and Cass, the New Day, the Club, Cesaro and Sheamus, and the Shining Stars went against Slater and Rhino, American Alpha, the Usos, the Hype Bros, and Breezango. Pretty much Breezango was immediately out of the ring, were eliminated once they start giving out these hall pass or fashion police type of stuff, which the New Day hit the midnight hour and won, got rid of them. But then, which was surprisingly, the New Day got eliminated that quick by very much Jimmy Uso. He pretty much super hit Kofi Kingston, and he was gone. And the Shining Star were pretty much eliminated by American Alpha. Next, we're doing a Steiner Brothers finish, which did look cool. I'll give it that. With the I don't know what kind of move it was in the air, but it is this I don't know the whatever the sign is. It was like a bulldog type of finish from the top rope, double team. So that was good. Gallows and Anderson then pretty much took out the Hype Bros. Then they were eliminated with 3 teams left. American Alpha was really starting to shine right here. I'll give it that. When Chad Gable did, how can I say this? When Cesaro hit one of the swings on one of the Usos, I believe, pretty much Chad Gable came in and hit a Chaos Theory German suplex and then did a front flip out of the ring, which looked awesome. And American Alpha was killing it out there. But Jason Jordan was about to do a dive. Gallows and Anderson pretty much kind of got in there and hit a magic killer and got rid of them. And then, since Gallows had pretty much took Enzo off the apron, Rhino came in and gored Luke Gallows, then eliminated him. People thought Carl Anderson would have got eliminated, really. And it pretty much kind of came on, I believe, was it 2 teams or 3 teams each side. Pretty much the Usos and Slater and Rhino versus Enzo and Cass and Cesaro and Sheamus. Which is where the match kind of got better. Because a lot of this was just a clusterfuck, really. This whole tag match was really a clusterfuck, and it almost felt like a giant battle royale out there. But once Enzo and Cass were pretty much gone in, and then Slater and Rhino were gone, Cesaro and Sheamus went against the Usos, which really got good down the stretch. Especially Cesaro. Cesaro should never do a 619 anymore. That looked horrible out there. But when he swung, I believe one of the Usos nearly like 20-something times, it was great. And, you know, good thing for Ty Dillinger out there also. Probably one of the most over thing out there tonight. Even though it's probably just going to be for Canada thing, and I know they did it last night. But when the whole crowd is chanting 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, through any type of number they count from the inside or the outside, count out, whatever, and they keep chanting 10, you know he was over the whole night. He was the biggest thing that was over. But pretty much Sheamus kind of came in with the save for Cesaro with a bro kick on one of the Usos, and pretty much Cesaro was able to get out of the Tequila Sunrise and hit a sharpshooter, which pretty much one of the Usos, I think it was Jay Uso, pretty much tapped out then. So I would say the tag team match was good. Some things didn't make sense. There was a lot of weird booking things. I thought it would have been the American Alpha would have been near the end. Who thought the New Day would have been gone early? And you look at the counting to this. Pretty much Raw has 2. And hello. Yes, who is this? Ah, yes. How you doing? Oh, okay. I will. Yes. Just sign in, and it should be at the council bottom after the information. Dang. Well, I just messed up with that review right there. Before they keep Survivor Series going anyway, I have to take care of a phone call real quick. But like I said, with the pretty much the scoreboard between Raw and SmackDown right now, Raw has 2 because of both tag team matches, and SmackDown I guess has 1 because Miz won the title. We thought it would be a tie, but next is Brian Kendrick versus Kalisto for the Cruiserweight Championship, which if Kalisto won, he would have got the whole Cruiserweight division go to SmackDown. But this match pretty much sucked in a way. I don't think nobody was really reacting. There was one cool move where he did the Spanish Fly C4 off the top rope of the apron, which the crowd did chant holy shit, but it's like no one cared for this match. They were just really quiet out there. I don't think people cared. I was almost about to hear CM Punk chants in a second with Kalisto and Brian Kendrick, but it looked like nobody cared. And then when Brian Kendrick did do that bully choke off the top rope, that did look cool. I will say that. But the match ended in a DQ because Baron Corbin came out, which I guess he was okay, and hit Brian Kendrick first, and then Kalisto. Pretty much Raw retains the Cruiserweight Championship, and they still get to keep the Cruiserweight division, which Daniel Bryan was pretty much pissed at Baron Corbin. Daniel Corbin said, we don't need any little guys running around here, and Daniel Bryan says, I'll deal with you on Tuesday. So, the match, they tried their best out there, but it just, I don't think nobody cared. It wasn't really that good. They just looked bad. Kalisto, my God, this guy botches so many moves, it makes no sense. Maybe not for this one, but SmackDown, he was botching like crazy. And Kendrick, it just looked like nobody cared out there for this match. It just looked like, why are we still keeping the Cruiserweights on Raw? We all know this has been a failure. I don't know when 205 is coming. I think the next week. I don't know how they're going to be moving, but the Cruiserweights ain't going to SmackDown right now. They're still going to be on Raw. There still will be 6-man tags, whatever. The Cruiserweights has been a huge bit let down and failure on Raw. It sucks. They just really suck out there. I like some of the guys, but they're not getting any time. They're on the 3rd hour. The 6-man, 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 6-man. You think, and they've done all they tried. They do with the purple and the logos and everything, but it's just not really working with the Cruiserweight division, in my opinion. It just isn't. And then we got to probably the best match out of the night. Team Raw versus Team SmackDown 5-on-5, the men's match. Pretty much Team SmackDown came out first. James Ellsworth, since he's the mascot. Then Shane McMahon, Bray Wyatt, and Randy Orton. The WWE Champion AJ Styles, which was really over. And Dean Ambrose to go against Team Raw. Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens, which they got pretty much huge reactions. Jericho was over. Reigns booed out of the building. Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman. And holy crap, what a long match this was. And the crowd kept this alive also. There's a lot of moments you can count in this match. This match was a whole hour, people. It was nearly a whole hour. With the crowd chanting, stupid idiot. And it was really long before somebody even got eliminated, really, where everybody just hitting these crazy spots out there. Ambrose was pretty much the first to go. After Strowman hit a power slam on him, he went first. Another thing that happened throughout the match, which they had to do everything to get rid of Braun Strowman, but once Orton hit that RKO on Strowman onto the announce table, him and Bray Wyatt held down Strowman. Shane McMahon has to do his depth-defying stuff like usual. Hit a giant elbow drop from there, and James Ellsworth was able to stop Braun Strowman from getting in the ring by holding his legs down before he could even try to climb back up. Then pretty much James Ellsworth ran away, and Strowman went after him, pretty much throwing him into the table. It didn't have a lot of impact, but it looked cool. And by the way, Strowman had to get out of there anyway. He almost killed AJ Styles, throwing him over the top rope, which was sick. Dude, when he threw AJ over that rope, this over the top rope, I thought AJ was gonna fall on his head and have a concussion. It just looked horrible in a way, how Styles fell, but he was able to recover, so good for him. But then we kind of came onto a 3-1-4 then. It was Jericho and Styles, from dodging submissions from the Calf Killer and the Walls of Jericho. But when Owens pretty much had Chris Jericho's list, he started beating AJ with it, and then he hit the pop-up powerbomb. Since Kevin Owens was gone by DQ, Jericho tried to save the pages to the list, but Orton pretty much RKO'd him, which now it was between Reigns and Rollins versus Shane McMahon, AJ Styles, Orton, and Wyatt, which people were actually worried because, you gotta keep Reigns in it and make him look strong as usual. so he could be the last guy, which made no sense. But Owens, well not Owens, but pretty much Reigns was literally booed out of this place. He got so many boos and chants bad at him, it was just ridiculously funny at one point. But when when it pretty much came, which was another crazy bump we'll get to in a second, where Roman Reigns pretty much trying to destroy everybody out there, and Shane McMahon was doing those punches, taking out Rollins holding his leg and beating him with it. He pretty much he could just take his head and beating his head with his own leg. Shane pretty much took out Reigns and was about to do a coast to coast on him, or the Van Terminator. And pretty much when Shane McMahon hit it, Roman Reigns just jumped up and hit him with a spear, and Shane McMahon looked like he did kick out, but they just say he wasn't able to compete and he was gone. So it just looked like when Shane kicked out of that move, I said he just couldn't pin Super Shane out there, some call it, because like he just gets these super moves for no reason and takes out everybody with these ridiculous punches he does. That's what the same thing I thought about Strowman, how he was taking him out, and how he kicked out of that move, I don't know, but the rest pretty much had to take him out of there, and I think he just was a little banged up a little that he couldn't do the match no more. Even Orton had to talk to his kids, if you look at it by the ringside, telling that their dad is okay. So Reigns was ready to put him and Rollins up, put somebody through a table next. I think it was either Orton or something, and Reigns went to Spanish announce table because they didn't like them. And Styles was able to make the save on Orton, pretty much stopping Reigns and Rollins. But next thing you know, Dean Ambrose came out and attacked AJ Styles from behind, which people started chanting AJ Styles a stupid idiot. And then a whole bunch of security guards came, but Rollins and Reigns stopped and looked. And then next thing you know, the entire Shield came back together, beat up all the security guards, and hit a Shield powerbomb on Styles through the table. That was the only time Roman Reigns was cheered throughout the whole night, because they had to get the Shield moment in. And was it worth it? Yes, it was. That was a good moment they had for the Shield to come back and hit another power bomb on him. So pretty much after Styles, they threw him back in the ring and he was gone. And after that, then Seth Rollins pretty much got he did a move from in the air, which I did like his shirt, by the way. Pretty much like a half Raw, half Seth freaking Rollins t-shirt. He pretty much was got back and he was about to jump off the top rope, but Orton hit with RKO mid-air, which looked awesome. It just looked really awesome. And then it came between Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, which either people chanted, "Roman sleeping, wake up, Roman," and people literally rallied behind Team SmackDown saying, "Let's go SmackDown, let's go SmackDown." Like, people were on SmackDown's side at the end because they just could not root for Roman Reigns, and they thought he was going to win this just because they got to make him look strong like usual. But which surprisingly, when Reigns thought he had a spear on Wyatt, pretty much Orton took the bullet for him and took the spear. Wyatt hit Sister Abigail, and the fans cheered Bray Wyatt for winning the match, which for once Bray Wyatt got a win. I don't know why Luke Harper was out there. He was out there to help the Wyatts just because, but the Wyatts pretty much celebrated after that, which they're still continuing that story. But it was a lot of crazy moments. It was literally the best match of the night. Like, only really great things. But looking at the scoreboard for Raw vs. SmackDown, pretty much SmackDown had, like, they won this match, and they won the IC title. Raw pretty much had, like, 3 wins over them. So, it's like they wanted to make SmackDown look bad for some reason. Because it was, like, in a total of 6 matches. And Raw was, like, pretty much 3-2, I guess, for SmackDown. I thought they were about to take the tag team one, really, but Raw took the other tag team and the women's match. So this was like the best match of the night. Killed it for a whole hour. A lot of time was killed throughout here. So this was a really great elimination match, and it was the best match of the night. So it was just a lot of odd things going on. But when we came to the main event, Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg. Brock got a big pop. Goldberg came out. He looked great. Came out security, got a big pop. But this is where we can take this either way with this match. Between both of these guys, Goldberg beating Brock Lesnar in 1 minute and 30 seconds. 2 spears and then jackhammer. And 1. In 1 minute and 30 seconds. And then his son pretty much came in and celebrated. And let's just look at this. I don't know where this is gonna go. Some people will look at this, and even I think this now. So let me get this straight. And we can go through a timeline on this, and this has to do with The Undertaker a little too. And it's like, let me get this straight. We've made Brock Lesnar nearly undefeated and unstoppable for 2 years, beat the streak. A part-timer, by the way, beat the streak. And then just start beating up everybody and was the champion. But next thing you know, another guy that has not been in the ring in over 12 years, 12 years, was able to beat Brock Lesnar in under a minute. And you look at all the hype and build up they put in this match for a WCW style squash match for Goldberg to beat Brock Lesnar. People think this makes him beating The Undertaker look stupid. So the man that beat the streak got beaten in 1 minute and 30 seconds. That quick. And we need another match. I heard Goldberg signed to be for the Royal Rumble. Like, please, I don't want to see a third match. Alright, Goldberg has 2 wins. What are we going to do? Put this all the way to WrestleMania? How many matches do we need with these 2? I don't even know if this is a one and done thing, but they say he signed some deal to be at the Royal Rumble. I just don't really know what to think about this, and I have live reactions of this. I know some people are going to complain with live reactions because of this thing right here, but my buddy wanted me to send them something, and you know, I was talking to him on Snapchat and sending messages and stuff, so you gotta forgive me for that one. But it's just like, where do you go on from this? Where? Is it because Goldberg was injured and hurt his shoulder on Monday? Is it because they want to sell more for the video game? Because some people really look at this as Brock Lesnar looking bad. We sent him back to UFC and he dominated. Now he just get beat by a guy that hasn't been in the ring in 12 years. And it's funny when they call Goldberg the greatest WCW champion of all time. He was the only WCW champion that was never defeated. I'm sure Kevin Nash beat him before. And I can name nearly 20 other better WCW champions better than Goldberg. What about Sting? What about Savage? Hogan? Booker T? Kevin Nash? That's just a few. Ric Flair. Dusty Rhodes, I believe, had the title at one point. WCW champion. So, Sid. The list goes on. And this is the main event that you give us? Maybe they knew the match was going to suck. Maybe they didn't. But for a WCW style squash match, where's the logic? Let's just put this down. Well, this pay-per-view was not really that great tonight, okay? This pay-per-view was just bad. It just feel like WWE cannot book big shows. So pretty much WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series was overshadowed by NXT takeovers. The only highlights out of tonight, the biggest thing, the best match out of the night, was the 5-on-5 men's Survivor Series tag team match. Those were the best. Tag team, I'll give that the second best in a way, the 20-man one. Even though it was still a cluster in a way, when it kind of came down the end, it got really good. The women just kind of came and went. The Cruiserweight one sucked. Miz and Zayn had a bad finish. But, you know, I'll keep it from here. There's a lot that can go into this, and we can speak on this. There's a lot of debate. Some say it was great, somebody will say it was good. The majority of people I talked to said that pay-per-view just sucked, and that NXT was better, and Goldberg versus Lesnar was horrible. Because it's like, this is how you treat The Undertaker streak from the guy that beat him. People really made this about The Undertaker a lot better way. I don't know, but I'm out of here. I'll see you guys later. Peace out. Check out the live reactions.